Hi, it's Joanna with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching, and I'm here for Get Your Life Back. It starts with sleep, and today we are talking about 2-year-olds. I have two moms that have reached out to me to get some hot seat coaching today around 2-year-old sleep struggles and nap skipping, which is the worst. And so I'm going to kind of describe each of their situations and how they're feeling about it, how it's affecting their life, and the things that their child is doing that is causing them great struggle. And then I'm going to offer recommendations for each of them. And so I will then obviously be sending this video out to them so that they'll get their own customized hot seat. And I wanted to let anyone here know that's listening to this later, if you want to be hot seat coached, all you have to do is submit the questions in advance, and I will hot seat coach you. So I will put that link in the chat a little bit later. But let's get right to it. So we have our first child is, our first mom, I should say, is Vicky D, and she is from Illinois. Her child is 2 years old, a girl, and she's in a situation right now where her child wants to be held to sleep, and her child wants to be held back to sleep. So obviously, lots of time is being spent at bedtime with mom needing to be on duty, holding her to sleep. And each time she wakes up in the middle of the night, her daughter wants her again to hold her to sleep in the middle of the night. We're also having nap challenges. She is doing a lot of crying. She's doing a lot of refusing. She doesn't even want to get in her crib. So poor mom, poor Vicky is really experiencing this pain and agony from both nighttime, middle of the night, and at naps. What she's reporting is she's like, I'm totally exhausted. My husband is totally exhausted. Our nights are unpredictable, and we are feeling very, very frustrated. For anyone here that can relate to that, say, oh yeah, I totally get that. For Vicky, this has been going on for 2 months. So I'm really glad, Vicky, that you're reaching out now. So let me just kind of touch on that for a second. A lot of parents will wait and kind of assume that any kind of sleep regression or acceleration of sleep problems will just kind of magically go away by themselves. And I want to kind of bust that myth that unfortunately, regressions happen. Okay. So that is not a problem for me. Like, children go through developmental phases, and a lot of times in those developmental phases, there is a regression of sleep behavior. If your child was previously a really good sleeper, and then there was an event that precipitated a regression, such as a developmental milestone, a cognitive milestone, an illness, a family trip, a change of residence, other family dynamics, new school, things like that. Those are legitimate reasons for a child to have a regression. So again, if you had a previously good sleeper, then you had one of these events that caused a regression in sleep, and then you're in the regression and you're like, okay, what do I do? Regressions don't typically magically disappear. You have to take action around how to manage the regression. And usually within 2 weeks of the precipitating event, if you're 2 weeks in and you're finding things are getting worse, it is absolutely time to take action. And what I want to communicate is ask for help. Because the thing about regressions is they go on, and the problem becomes more and more complex. And then you're 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, 4 months down the line, and you as the parent that is trying to cater to the child and manage the sleep struggles is getting more and more exhausted. And the more exhausted you get as a parent, the less bandwidth you have to go execute a plan on how to unravel it. So one of my biggest recommendations is, do not let a regression go more than 1 month without reaching out for help. If you can't solve it yourself in 1 month's time, then please, please, please reach out to help with your local sleep coach. There are wonderful sleep coaches out there that are more than happy to help you get back into shape. So poor Vicky is letting this go on 2 months, but good news for her, she did realize, like, I can reach out for help, and she's chose to come here for hot seat coaching. She's also saying, like, I can't believe it. This is totally ridiculous. We're so sad because we used to have our evenings. We used to enjoy quiet time together, meaning she and her partner. And, it's such a bummer, right? Like you had something was going smooth and good and predictable. You had time for yourself in the evening, time with your partner, and then all of a sudden, poof, it all disappears. And so what she's asking is, how do I get this child to go back to sleep without crying it out? This is the big question. So she had done Cry It Out when her child was younger. And she's like, it was brutal. I do not want to do that again. And so the good news is, Vicki, you do not have to do Cry It Out. There are so many other gentle sleep coaching methodologies that can be very nurturing and encouraging to your child and also still get your results, which is for you to go back to your predictable nights and predictable naps and have time for your husband. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate to you guys, there's 3 different types of methodologies for coaching. There's extinction, which is considered cried out, and that's Dr. Weisbluff. There is graduated extinction, which is also known as Dr. Ferber or Ferberizing or time checks. And the third one is called the fading approach, designed by Kim West, also known as the Sleep Lady Shuffle or the chair method. In this case where Vicki's child already had her sleep skills, I would recommend doing the fading approach. And you can get the book Good Night Sleep Tight by Kim West. This is a book I think all of you guys should have on your bookshelf, simply because it has an amazing index on how to manage sleep situation. So if it's, all you have to do is go to the index, find out your sleep situation, just have to read that one section. It's also divided into ages and stages, which is also super helpful. So you don't have to read the whole book to know what to do to address the situation. You can just go to the situation and the age and you'll get the recommendations there. So I would recommend specifically for Vicki in this situation, since her child had been previously sleep trained, doing kind of a modified Sleep Lady Shuffle so that you are out of the room in under 7 days, so that you don't get stuck in the room. Because right now you're stuck in the room holding her for both bedtime and middle of the night. And so she's used to you physically being there, and she's used to a lot of physical contact. And so we have to kind of gently wean both the physical contact and your physical presence. And the problem is under a situation like this, if you move too fast, you get just protest, right? Which is, we want to minimize protest and tears. And if you move too slow, you're going to get stuck in the room again, just further away, right? She'll have you be like sitting on the ground by the door and, sitting there for an hour waiting to see, are you awake? Are you still there, mom? Etc. So we have to be, that's why I'm making the recommendation that if you were to do the Sleep Lady Shuffle, I'd want you to modify it and do it so that you were definitely out of the room within 5 to 7 days. And you might, mom, my other recommendation for Vicki would be that she might want to have dad do the modified Sleep Lady Shuffle, because right now the mom has taken on the role of the sleep lovey, right? Mom is the ultimate sleep crutch, right? Because Vicki is holding her. So for her daughter, the daughter's getting the smell of her, the sound of her, the presence of her, the touch of her. She's kind of got, basically mom's become a giant, 5-dimensional lovey. And so oftentimes if the sleep crutch person, the person that's offering the sleep crutches is the one doing the kind of the cleanup and the night coaching, you'll often get more protest. And so it's often better if the sleep crutch coach is the one that does the coaching, because then the protest will not be as high, because the child isn't going to be screaming for the response from the parent that was previously offering the sleep crutches. So that would be my other recommendation. The other third thing I would recommend, Vicki, is that when you plan to do this, you guys want to give yourself time to look at your family calendar and assess, do I have a week to truly focus on this? Can I get home in time for a proper dinner and a proper wind down time before bedtime? If dad is going to be the coach, can he commit to being home for 5 to 7 days in a row to get us off to a good start? don't have big weekend plans where you kind of feel like you're rushing home to do a project like this. You really want to have all your mental, emotional energy and the logistics of your household lined up so that you guys can begin this, move, strategically and methodically through the process, and then, get to your success faster. When families just kind of randomly decide like, hey, I think I'm going to sleep coach tonight, or it's today's Wednesday, I'm going to sleep coach tomorrow on Friday night, and you haven't gone through the planning, the decision making, the collaboration with your partner, it often doesn't go well. And if you don't have a plan in this way, you just keep perpetuating the behaviors you're seeing. Okay. Let's see what else Vicki had to say. Yes. So Vicki, the last thing I would say is that, we've also got a nap situation. So I would recommend managing your nighttime first. I would really dial in on making it so that your daughter can be drowsy but awake at the onset of sleep at bedtime, and then be able to get back to sleep in the middle of the night without any sleep crutch. And remember, sleep crutches are defined as anything that has to be done to or for a child at the onset of sleep, bedtime. They will want some version of that support in the middle of the night. So before you start tackling the nap skipping, we need to make sure she's getting solid, amazing, consolidated sleep at bedtime and in the middle of the night without the sleep crutches, so that then you'll be able to see in a better way what her sleep window is for naps. I think what's happening is nights are getting really, really weird. And so it's probably getting more and more difficult to figure out exactly when she's tired for her nap. But a little bit of a guideline that I can offer all of you that have 2-year-olds. Typically, 2-year-olds are still taking a nap. So the fact that they're nap skipping does not mean that they're ready to drop it. Most children will still be napping at 4 years of age. 57% of children are still napping at 4 years of age. And like 27% of children are still napping at 5 years of age. So I highly doubt she's nap skipping. She might just be on a nap strike, which is common at this age. I think the nighttime sleep is affecting her schedule. And so it's getting difficult for you to discern exactly what her right sleep window is for nap. But typically at 2 years of age, from the time they wake up in the morning to the time they're asleep for the nap, is somewhere between a 5 and 6 hour time frame. And that doesn't mean getting ready to go to sleep at the 5 hour mark. It means possibly being asleep by the 5 or 6 hour mark. So a sleep window is really that amount of time when it is very easy for her to go to sleep within that realm of wakefulness that I just mentioned. Okay. So again, Vicki, thank you so much for reaching out. And I'm hoping that this information is going to help you guys get sleep back on track. You can always resubmit a question as follow-up and I will answer it. And then I would also say that just focus on nights first, have dad do the coaching, and then I would circle back to reevaluating the right nap window and then having her do a mini routine at nap like you're doing at bedtime now that you're not holding her anymore. That would be my recommendation. Okay, great. So I promised you guys something to put in here that would give you the opportunity to submit questions in advance. So let me just put that in the chat really quick so I don't forget to do that. And I also wanted to tell you guys, I mentioned also a minute ago about this whole concept of regression, which again, it happens. It is impossible as a parent to somehow escape a sleep regression. But if you guys want my sleep regression guide, what I'm going to recommend that you do is if you go to my contact me page, you will see that you can check a box that says, I would like to receive a regression guide. And if you check the box, then I will definitely send that to you. And also, if you guys want to learn about, if you want to talk to me personally, that's where you would fill that form out as well. Or if you want to get alerted to upcoming workshops, you can also get notification by filling out that contact me form. Okay, so I just put that in the chat. All right, now let's go into She signed her name as M. Dukin, so I don't know her first name, but let me tell you what's going on from M. Dukin. She's got a 2.9-month-old. She's from Massachusetts, and this is what's going on there. They just moved to a temporary home, and they're having a really hard time with their child falling asleep at night and also, again, refusing naps. Previously, she feels like she has a good routine. She does bath, pajamas, reading books. But the new behavior that she's really struggling with is that she has to hold her son's hand and hug him on a chair next to his crib. And she also sounds like she transferred him to a big boy bed. Okay, so let's address that for a second. So M. Dukin, thank you so much for submitting your question. Okay, that's one of my poodles back there. Sorry about that. He's going to sit down. That's Magic. That's my new big standard poodle there. He's 3 years old. He's getting to know our house, and he's liking to be in my conference calls, or my Facebook lives and conference calls. So she has a 2.9-month-old child. She just moved into temporary housing, and she started getting some sleep regression behavior with him holding his hand, and she also has to hug him, right, while she's kind of in this toddler bed situation. So here's the thing about moving to the toddler bed. Okay, it is really hard because some kids just simply do not have the maturity to handle being in a big boy bed or a big girl bed. Typically, children around 3.5 or 4 have two things come online cognitively that makes it a lot easier for them to be successful sleeping independently in a big boy bed. By 3.5 and 4 years of age, they have 2 new cognitive functions. One is they can understand time. So if you say to them, I need you to stay in your bed until morning, or I need you to wait here for 10 minutes for me, they have a better understanding of time continuum. They also have a better understanding of boundary and consequence. So if you say to them, if you stay in your bed all night, I will give you a waffle in the morning. At 3.5 or 4, they really understand if then this, right? So they understand that continuum, and that's relationship to time. But when they're 2 years, 9 months, they do not have that skill. And that cognitive function. So when you say to them, I need you to stay in your bed all night, it means nothing to them. I mean, they literally don't understand all night. Is that 1 second, 5 minutes, 5,000 years? Like, they do not understand. So can you solve a sleep struggle in a situation with a child this young in a big boy bed? Yeah. Is it going to take a ton more effort and consistency and probably some boundaries, like putting a gate at the door? Yes. And it's not because your child isn't, not because you didn't have a good plan, and it's not because you didn't do a good job, and it's not because your child doesn't know how to, obey. It's because you're asking them to do something that isn't cognitively necessarily, from a mature standpoint, ready for them to do. So you have to really ask yourself, is it really necessary for him to be in a big boy bed? Now, if you are saying to me, yeah, but Joanna, he jumped out of his crib, so that's why we had to do it. Very common at this age for them to jump. It does not mean that they don't like their crib. What it means is that they're practicing their climbing, because the crib is the best and easiest climbing milestone. There are ways that we can solve climbing. There are several strategies. I think I've even done a Facebook Live on that. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on the strategies there, but there are absolutely easy ways to help them stay in their crib, because once they get over that desire to climb out of the crib, they stop it. It's just a temporary behavior that if we put the right boundaries around the behavior, they stop doing it completely and they go back to sleeping very happily in their crib. So the first recommendation I would have for you, M. Dukin, is, do you guys want to keep him in the big boy bed? Because if you do, then you're going to need a much more comprehensive plan on how you're going to help him unwind the sleep crutches of needing to hold your hand and you needing to hug him simultaneously. And that might be something where you might need some guidance, because it is a whole different strategy, path, and road when you have a very young child in a big boy bed that has a ton of sleep crutches. There's a lot we have to do, and it can sometimes take up to 4 weeks for the child to be successful. So if you are like, I'm committed to the big boy bed, we gave away the crib, we have to do this, then I'm going to highly recommend that you reach out to me and schedule a sleep strategy session so I can get a fuller assessment and have a live conversation with you about the situation with your husband on the line, because this is definitely a family situation that we need to attend to. And I would want to really do an assessment on your child's kind of readiness for a big boy bed, and then understand a little bit more background on how you got to the situation. Were things getting slippery before you made the move, etc.? And then we could come up with a customized plan. But for the purposes of right now, I'm going to assume that you're going to go, no, I want the fastest results possible. Then my first recommendation is going to be that we set back up the crib and get ready to do some sleep coaching with him. Again, using the Sleep Lady Shuffle, because that way you're in the room so you can stop that climbing behavior. And she says that the other problem that she's having because he's in this big boy bed is that he's waking up in the night and he's coming into her room and he's sleeping in her bed. And she said, they used to co-sleep a long time ago, but she's not really interested in doing that anymore. And the other problem they're having is that he claims there are people in his room and he's scared. So, you guys, these are all 2-year-old behaviors and these are all solvable. But I definitely understand that at 2 a.m. it is a conundrum. Your child comes stumbling into your room at 2 a.m., climbs into your bed. She even said that sometimes his diaper is wet. So then you've got to get him up, you got to change him. And then it's kind of like, do I put him back in his big boy bed and start all over with the hand holding, or do I just let him sleep with me? I get it. This is a situation where you might have to pull back, confer with your partner and say, we are going to have to solve this from top to bottom, because sleep training on the edges never works. Like it never works like, oh, I'll just get him to fall asleep in his bed. You'll find him back in your bedroom at, 2 a.m. It's almost inevitable. So we have to kind of be strategic about, we're going to handle this. She's also having nap refusal. She's saying he's jumping on the bed. He won't lay down. And she said the worst part about this is that he sleeps at daycare. Okay, so this is, you guys, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh because I know it's so hard and you're in so much pain, but classic 2-year-olds, right? They're angels at daycare. They go to sleep, they follow the rules. The teachers go, he's fabulous, it's amazing. And then you get home, and then on the weekends he nap skips you, is jumping all over the bed, and you're just like, oh my gosh. So kids often save their save their behaviors for us. It is something you will find over and over again in every age and stage of your child's development. So the good news is he is napping at school, so we know it's possible. So we know this nap skipping issue could be one of two things. It can be that he is, we're missing the sleep window for him. Again, going back to what I was talking about with Vicky, it's very possible that you're missing the sleep window. And so when he goes to take his nap during the day, you've missed the sleep window and he's all jacked up on cortisol and he's just hyper and he's not going to go to sleep. So I would try to match the daycare schedule as best as you can during the weekends. And I would also give him ample wind down time prior to the nap so you can make sure you're really nailing the right sleep window. How this is affecting her. She says, I'm so tired. I haven't slept well in weeks. Once he comes into our bed, he kicks us with his legs and when we can't get any sleep. Also, his nighttime routine is so long that by the time he's asleep, it's almost 9:30 or 9:45 and I don't have any more me time. So yes, so this is all related to kind of like, what time is he waking up in the morning? What time is he taking his nap at daycare? And then tracking from the time he woke up from nap at daycare to the time he needs to be asleep at bedtime with an almost 3-year-old is typically no more than 4 to 5 hours. So if you have a child that's waking up from a nap at 2 at daycare, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 4 hours, 7 is 5 hours. So what we need to do again is go back to the basics of looking at his sleep cues and his sleep window, knowing that this child typically will not exceed more than a 4 to 5 hour window of wakefulness between afternoon nap and being asleep at bedtime. And the key is knowing and understanding, okay, is this kid a 4 hour window? Is he a 4 hour and 12-minute window? Is he a 4 hour and 45-minute window? Like, what if I need to have him in the crib within 15 or 20 minutes of being asleep, what time does he fall asleep? What is that window? And when you do that, then you can move everything backwards to accommodate when are you going to do dinner? When will you do bath? When will you finish books? When will you put them in the crib? And how long do they need to fall asleep without any sleep crutches, which typically on any given night is 5 to 30 minutes, so that they're asleep by their appropriate sleep window, which typically will not exceed 5 hours for this age and stage. So M. Durkin, it sounds like the fact that he's falling asleep at 9:30, 9:45 tells me that you are probably starting his bedtime routine way too late, and you are catching him in his and when his cortisol is going up. And so you're going to have 45 to 90 minutes of really extreme wakefulness. And that's when you're battling with him to try to get him to go to sleep at bedtime. Now, the other clue that she has mentioned to me, she says he has had a hard time falling asleep since he was a baby. So the reality is that she might have had sleep crutches that originated in the newborn phase, which is 0 to 6 months, which is perfectly appropriate to have sleep crutches in 0 to 6 months. And those sleep crutches probably continue to work really well for her between 6 and 12 months. Sounds like she was co-sleeping. Fine. Co-sleeping can be fabulous. Co-sleeping can be amazing. I'm pro co-sleeping as long as it works for everybody, meaning mom sleeping well, dad sleeping well, baby sleeping well. Not mom and baby are in the bed, dad's in the other bedroom, and mom's getting kicked all night. That's not my version of good co-sleeping. That is like called reactive co-sleeping, which is you don't know what else to do, so that's what you do. So we want to, how Vicky's situation differs from M. Durkin's is that it sounds like M. Durkin her baby never has had sleep skills. She has always been the sleep crutch. It went from co-sleeping to now hand holding and holding him. So needing to sleep train from top to bottom is going to be required. And with a 2-year-old in a big boy bed, if that's what you're committed to, it's probably going to take you 3 to 4 weeks easy. And it's going to be needed. You're going to need to have a really solid plan. You're going to have to be super crazy consistent. You're going to have to be on board with your partner. And you're going to have to really dedicate the time, the focus, the energy, and the attention to move this through so that the child can build the sleep skills over the course of time and start building that boundary that we talked about, so you don't have him wandering out of the room at 2 a.m. crawling back into bed with you. If you choose to put him back in the crib and you do top to bottom sleep training, I think it will probably take you about 2 weeks to really start feeling like you've got your life back. So you kind of have to make a decision how much personal bandwidth you have. It sounds like you've just recently moved, so there's probably a lot of things to do on your to-do list. And so you might want to take the faster route, put him back in the crib. And then, again, it goes back to when you sleep train, you want to have it be a process. It's kind of like starting a diet. You want to say, okay, I don't just randomly start a diet tomorrow. I actually choose, like, what diet am I going to go on? What is my meal plan? What times am I going to eat? Am I scheduling time for food prep? Am I scheduling time to sit and eat the nutritious meal? When am I blocking out time for my exercise? Am I getting to bed on time to encourage good sleep? All of these things matter if I want to be successful in a diet. And I have to plan and prepare in order to be successful to be on a diet. The same thing is true with sleep coaching. We have to create the optimal circumstances and the optimal environment over the course of several weeks for the child to learn the sleep skills, self-regulate, self-settle, self-soothe. And you can do it alone by, getting a digital program or following the book, or you can reach out for help from a sleep coach. Want to make sure they're certified and trained, and that they have a lot of experience, to get the step-by-step day-to-day guidance so that you always know what to do, when to do it, why to do it, and the science behind it. Now, that's where I would come in as a coach. And like you guys know, hopefully by following me, I'm a gentle sleep coach. So I do not believe in cry it out. Everything I do is, based on behavioral science and sleep science and attachment theory. And it can be a really supportive, wonderful process. You learn so much about yourself and your child, and you get results. So it's super, super wonderful. But so I would definitely, M. Durkin, sit down with your partner and recognize that you guys have to make a big decision. Are you going to keep him in a big boy crib? Or are you going to put him back in the crib? Are you going to keep him in the big boy bed or put him in the crib? And then the second decision is, do we want to do this alone, some sleep training alone? And if so, then you've got to go choose your methodology. Like I said earlier, extinction, graduated extinction, or fading. Then you've got to choose which, once you've chosen methodology, then you've got to go get the guidance in the methodology, buy the book, get the digital program, if it's a do-it-yourself. Or if you're like, I don't want to do it myself, I want to do it with support, and I want to have someone that's expert in this guiding me, then you would start interviewing coaches, and you want to ask your coaches a lot of questions about their experience and about their methodology, and most importantly, on how they are going to support you day to day. Are they going to be texting with you? Are they going to be emailing? Are you going to talk to them on the phone? Are you going to talk to them by Zoom? These are all the questions you want to ask so that you actually are going to get the level of support that matches how you like to communicate and how you want to be supported. And M. Durkin said, okay, so if I solve this problem, what would this mean to me? She said, I would finally have time for myself. I need to take care of myself so that I can be calm and fun and truly present with my child. Amen. I totally agree with you. And this is what I want, exactly what I want for every mother. I do not want their child's sleep inhibiting their ability to enjoy time for themselves, to take care of themselves, and to be able to be calm, fun, and truly present with their child. When a mother is well rested because her child is well rested, life gets so much easier. And that's what I want for all my clients. So thank you so much all for being here. Those of you that are listening to this on the replay, if you have any questions, all you have to do is go into the comments and do #replay, and I will pop in and answer that. I have put here the guides, the regression guide that you can easily get instant download. And if you want to be hot seat coached in the future, I have given you guys the link to submit in the future. And I want to thank Vicki and M. Durkin for sharing their situation and hoping that my recommendations and insight and perspective were helpful. Okay, you guys have a great day. See you next week. Bye.